Hello and welcome to Board Game Gumbo. Today we're unboxing Xtronaut 2.0, the game of solar system exploration from Xtronaut Enterprises. This is a game for 2 to 6 players that plays in about 60 minutes. Now, the original Xtronaut was released in 2016, and this version 2.0, will be released on Kickstarter in 2020. Xtronaut is a game about building up various rockets through their different pieces and then sending them out on different space missions. So here we have our rule book. A lot of this game is card play, so there are several different decks of cards. Most of these are going to be different pieces of rockets that you're going to be trying to put together on your board. So here are some of the cards, and these are just, as I said, different pieces of rockets that you're trying to build. You've got boosters as well as fairings for travel. Secondary boosters and so on. These will make more sense as we get further into the game and see the player boards. But that's typically what these decks of cards are going to be these different pieces of a rocket that you can put together. Some cards, however, I'll show you, are action cards. And these you can use on your turn to either get additional cards like this one does. Some of them actually hurt your opponents. So place at another player's launch site. They cannot launch a rocket on their next turn, basically delaying them for a turn. Here are the different missions that you're trying to accomplish. So each player will be given one of these at the beginning of the game. And then as they complete them, they'll get some more. They'll get a choice from several different ones. And this is also how you score points. So the object of the game is first person to 10 points, and you score points depending on the size of your rocket as you send it off. You have some mission text, just some mostly flavor text. The interesting thing about this game is that a lot of the people involved in the making of this game are actual rocket scientists. So although for most people this is just going to be flavor text, it does actually relate to real life space travel. So this is the speed that you're trying to achieve for this particular mission, and this symbol just means delta V. Basically just means the speed that you're trying to get to. And then some of these also tell you what cards you can play. There are gravity assist cards that you can play, and also what modules you need on your rocket in order to complete the mission. So we've got a punchboard here, just a little first player token, and a few tokens for the various different players. Fortunately, we had a little bit of damage on this one, but it doesn't appear to have affected the token itself. And these are just scoring tokens for the 6 players. You have a main board here. So each player is going to get one of these boards. There's a couple different things on them. First of all, you have an area for your mission card. So you're going to have your mission card there. And then you have your data points, which again are victory points. To first to 10 is going to win. And then you have your actual place where you'll put your rockets, your rocket pieces, and a little game round explanation at the bottom here. So you see that certain spaces are required, which means that you cannot complete a mission unless you have those spaces filled with a card. So if you were to get a fairing, it would go up into this spot. A left fairing would go up here. Once you have all these required spaces filled up, you can complete your mission, assuming that you have met or exceeded the speed requirement. And then based off of the various different aspects of your rocket, its size and its payload, you'll score a certain amount of data points or victory points. So the rest of these are just more player boards. Again, this can play up to 6 players. And that's it. That's everything you're going to get in a copy of Xtronaut 2.0. If you want to stick around for a little bit, I'll go through a brief explanation on how the game is played and a round summary. So let's go quickly through a round of Xtronaut so you see how it plays, and then I'll discuss how missions are completed, which is the primary function of the game in order to get points and ultimately be the winner. So the first thing that's going to happen is that each player is going to get 5 cards from the draw deck. There are several different types of cards. Some of them are spacecraft, which you will need a certain type of spacecraft to complete certain missions. Some of them are the various components that you find on the player board. For instance, this is a second stage booster, so it would go there. You have additional boosters, which can be added to the bottom here, which are not required. And you have gravity assist cards. Gravity assist cards can only be played if the mission that you are trying to accomplish allow you to play them. So this is the first thing that each player is going to have in their hand, is these 5 cards. Then each player is going to have an opportunity to trade one of the 5 cards from their hand for one of the cards in the action market, which is up here. There'll be a certain number of cards in that market equal to the number of players plus 1, so there will always be 1 action card left over. So say for instance that I don't need this fairing, I could trade it in order to take an action card, for instance, part salvage, which lets me get cards from the discard pile. This card then sits in the action market for now until my opponent has taken their action. You can also choose to pass at this point if you like the cards in your hand or don't particularly like any of the action cards that are available. Then we go to the action portion of the game where you'll be able to play these cards that you just acquired. Again, this is optional. You can hold on to the card until a later round, but do keep in mind that there is a hand limit of 5 cards. So at the end of each round, if you have more than that, you're going to have to discard down to 5. After the action cards have been played, then players can trade for what's in the market. So for instance, if I had traded in this card to get this action card, perhaps my opponent wants that card, and they can trade a card from their hand in order to get it. After that, any cards that are in this trading market are discarded to the salvage pile, which is over here. You do start with one in case you have cards that allow you to draw from the salvage pile early on. After that, players are allowed to remove cards from their board that they no longer need. And then each player is allowed to play any number of spacecraft, gravity assist, or rocket component cards from their hand onto their board. So let's take a moment and look at the mission that I was given at the very beginning of the game. We've already discussed this in part. Let's go into a little more detail. Up here, it tells me what spacecraft are required to complete this mission. I have to have either an orbiter or a rotorcraft in order to complete this mission. Otherwise, I can't do it. I also need to reach a delta V, or speed, of at least 24 kilometers per second. You have a little track here on the right-hand side of your board and a little token that you can use just to keep track of where your current speed is. Going back to our card, we can play any number of gravity assist cards based off of this chart to the right. And at the bottom here, it's going to tell us how many points we're going to score depending on the size of the rocket that we essentially send out. You may think that you're always going to be trying to launch the largest rocket since it gives you the most points, but as you'll see, cards only give you a certain amount of speed based on the rocket size. The larger your rocket, the less speed you're going to get per card. So that's a full round of game play for Xtronaut 2.0. So let's go ahead and look at how we actually complete this objective that we have. So on my turn, I can play any number of cards in my hand. Well, I definitely want to play this spacecraft card because, first of all, that's the symbol I need to complete my mission. it requires me to do a large rocket. So that's what I'm going to be aiming for. And it gives me 7 kilometers per second. So on my turn, I'm going to play this out onto my board as a spacecraft. And that's the area specifically for spacecraft. And then I'm going to denote that I have 7 speed just by using my little token there. But I have more cards I can play as well. So I have a gravity assist here for Earth, which is one of the gravity assists that I'm allowed to use for my mission. So we're going to use that as well. So we'll put this here. Now you'll notice that the spacecraft is required. You have to have a spacecraft to launch. The gravity assist are optional, but I need the speed because I've got to get up to 24. So that gives me another 4, moving me up to 11. Now the thing about the different modules that you're going to add to your spaceship is that they all have to be of the same manufacturer. So these are both green, both Delta cards. So that's good. I want to put them both into my spaceship. So let's go ahead and do that. Second stage booster is going to go right in the center spot. Well, you see it only gives me 2 kilometers per second because I'm launching a large rocket. And additional boosters, which I'm definitely going to need, will give me another 2. Now, I didn't play this card earlier in the round when I could have, to get parts salvage. But let's say I had, I could go through this deck here and see if there's any cards that I need. However, it has to be a rocket component, so no taking gravity assist. There are some orange Delta rocket components already in the discard pile, but they're the ones that I already have. I already have a second stage booster, and I already have additional boosters, so that doesn't do me any good. So I'm going to hang on to this card until a later round. And that's it. That's my round. 1 full round of playing cards. And I've gotten up to 15 kilometers per second. I need another 9, and I'm going to be looking for it through the draw deck or through action cards. Once I've achieved my objective, and I have at least 24 kilometers per second, I can launch my rocket. This just occurs on your turn unless there's anything preventing you from launching, which certain action cards can be played on other players to prevent them from launching. If you do launch successfully, you're just going to look at any points that you score, and then you're going to move up your scoring track equal to that value. So let's say I got up to 24 kilometers per second, I would launch as a large rocket and I would score 7 points, which is a lot considering you only need 10 to win the game. Then what's going to happen is this mission card is going to get discarded, and I'm going to be able to draw 3 from the top of the deck and choose 1 to keep. Now obviously what I keep is going to depend on a large part on what I already have in my hand and what I think I can complete quickly in order to reach those 10 points that I need. And that's it. The first person who reaches 10 points is going to be the winner. It does matter if you get over 10 points because it is possible for multiple people to reach that threshold at the same time. So obviously the person who has the most points will win if multiple people score 10 at the same time. And that's everything you need to play Xtronaut 2.0. If the game looks interesting to you, keep your eyes out on Kickstarter for Q1 of 2020 when the game will launch.